Welcome to the show. Today we're talking about self-care and the angels. And I know B, you're here with us live. If you'd like to ask a question, you can write it in the chat room. You can put up that electronic hand. And by the way, for those who don't know, down on the lower menu of your screen to the far right is a button called Reactions. If you click on that, you're going to see another one that says raise your hand, and it puts a little electronic hand up. So that's another way if you want to actually turn your audio on and ask your question, you can do that. So anyway, we're going to move forward with today's topic. This one really came to the forefront for me because my angels had really been on me. I live alone, and when you live alone, you don't have that other person to tell you, you look tired, you should go to bed early, or, hey, are you coming down with something? And maybe let me get you some cold medicine, or, let me get you some painkiller. And so what ends up happening for me is I get so sick, so miserable, or run down that I don't even think of what I need to do for myself. And what's happened more and more over the years, particularly in the last 2 years where I've had such serious illnesses, is my angels are taking that role on. And I know that I'm sure that they do it for other people because this has kind of come up in some readings with clients, and similar situations have emerged where they're getting messages from their angels. They're not all single either. They just are not doing something they need to take care of. And I think the biggest overall message when I talk to them about this is that we are not meant to be martyrs. And when I say we, I should clarify that. People who are on a spiritual path, people who are already using their gifts, they found their life purpose, and they're helping other people in the way that they're passionate about, doesn't have to be in a spiritual way. But you're not supposed to be a martyr and run yourself down into the ground until you have no energy left, until you've lost your spark. Lots of things can happen. Even on your mission, you can get burned out. So I know plenty of people who have had great passion for their spiritual work and then went into it and did like 9, 10 readings a day, and it wasn't very long before they were disillusioned. The truth is, they're just working too hard. And I've done it for a while. When I first moved to Sedona, and I was working at a center where it was almost pretty much all tourists, very few locals. And I would do 7 to 9 readings a day, and I would go home and collapse. And I just felt exhausted most of the time. So that's one of the reasons, I always knew I was going to start my own business, but it's one of the reasons that I knew I needed to get out of there because doing spiritual work is fantastic and it feeds the soul, but it can be very draining depending on what you're doing. So you need to be cognizant of that. And so we're not, even though we're here and given these gifts and we have a life purpose and we find it and we're passionate, we're supposed to be enjoying the human side of our existence. We're supposed to be going out and having fun. We're supposed to be doing things just for fun, enjoying nature, visiting with friends and family, pursuing our hobbies. There needs to be balance in our lives. And when there isn't, boy, that's when my angels really come forward. And they'll say something to me like, you could have gone, my dear friend Julia, she might be listening. She is a great singer. We used to sing together. And she sings with a guitarist and plays around at some different venues in town. And I love to go hear her sing and visit with her husband and our musical friends there. And so many times, I plan to go and then I don't because I'm tired. And I know, my angels are telling me, if you had just gone, you would have been fine. It would have rejuvenated you to be around music, to be with your friends. And I know that's so true. And I'm so glad that they point this out to me because I think it's going to help me moving forward with not thinking that if I do something else, I'll be even more tired. That's not necessarily true. So let's start with the first on the list here is your health. You know, when you push yourself and you just put the nose to the grindstone and push, 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 your health suffers. It does for every single person who does that. Whether they admit it or not, whether you can tell or not, their health is suffering. So it could be physically, it could be mentally, emotionally, but they're suffering. And it's because you're pushing yourself too hard. You know, your body tells you when it needs a break, and your mind tells you when it needs a break. And now I got to tell you, your angels are going to tell you. My angels will say, that's enough work. Go outside, go for a walk, go for a hike. You need to get out in nature. And they're so right. I don't consider that butting into my life. I never do with my angels. I mean, they only have our best and highest good in mind. So if they're telling us something, it's important. Sometimes for people, they don't realize how pushing, whether it's all work or just always go, 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 what that's doing to their body. Like what it does is put your body into this place where cortisol is rushing through your body all the time, like you're constantly in a fight and flight position. And, you know, you can end up destroying your organs or having your adrenal system shut down. And usually people don't realize that's a problem till it happens. And then it's too late. And I have several friends that suffer this because they allowed a situation to continue, or they, like I said, they just push themselves continuously, trying to be this perfect employee, perfect business owner, perfect wife, perfect mother. Those are illusions. It doesn't exist. And I think if you spend a lot of time on social media, particularly it seems like Instagram, be very careful to not allow yourself to buy into that is a reality. That's people showing their life varnished. They're showing the highlights. They're cherry picking moments to show you and setting it up with lighting and what their outfits are and the background. And that's not life. That's not even their life. That's just staged moments. So don't compare yourself to some social media set that somebody's created. I think that's one way that people can end up pushing themselves trying to attain something that doesn't exist, rather than disengaging, you know, taking yourself away from social media or anything else that's giving you that false illusion of what life's supposed to be like, so you can actually enjoy your life, the reality, what it really is. And if you don't like what it is, well, your angels are always there to guide you towards something that's going to feel better for you, that's going to fit your needs, your desires better. So it really all comes down to opening yourself and just working towards being able to hear your angels. It's so I was telling a friend the other day that since COVID started, like I've been seeing even more angels, which was already a lot of angels, but even more angels, and hearing them much more than I did before, which was a lot. So the nice thing is that I think it's not just for me. I think that veil between the celestial realm and humans has thinned, and along with a lot of other veils that are thinning, and people are discovering their spiritual gifts, they're beginning to realize they have them. And so it's allowing you to have this perfect opportunity to really work towards that relationship. And, you know, it always surprises me. Yesterday, I saw a really lovely lady from Japan, and she had no idea that she had her own angels, or that they were hers alone and with her every second of her life. It brought her to tears. And I was so touched. I'm like, I just forget, I guess, that some people still don't know that. So embrace that for yourself. And even if you don't yet feel them, see them, or hear them, just trust that they are there, because honestly, the trust factor is a huge one when it comes to really being able to build that close relationship with your angels. If you're not going to trust that they're there, it's very hard to allow yourself to drop those interior barriers and develop skill in communicating with them. So your health can be a lot better. I have things like I had COVID for a couple of weeks very recently, and my angels finally said to me in week 2, I think the first week I was just in a fever-induced stupor, but the second week they were saying, you need to take something for your fever. And they told me, put a cool cloth on your head, wipe your face down with that cool cloth. Like, it was so funny. It really brought a smile to my face because it felt almost like having my mother taking care of me again as a child, and the kind of things she would have said and done. But it's the kind of things I would say to my adult daughter who lives 2,000 miles away, and she gets ill, and I'm like, are you using your vaporizer at night, your hot air vaporizer? Are you doing this? And sometimes she's like, no. And it's that thing again of that you get so darn run down and sick, you're not thinking straight. So let your angels be, kind of mother you a little bit when you need that. And when they tell you to do something, do it. Take your temperature when they tell you to, ask for help. Oh my gosh, that's a big one. My angels get on to me because after being single for going on 8 years now, I've become incredibly independent, which is a great thing most of the time. But there's times when I really do need help and I won't even think to ask for it. And during COVID, they're like, people are offering you help and you're telling them you're fine. You're not fine. Accept the help. And I did. So I did accept some help, and it was really a relief to have people bring me things and just help me out. It was nice, and lots of friends checking in on me and just making sure I'm okay, and family checking in on me. So allow yourself to ask for help and accept the help offered to you when you need it. Chances are, if you're watching this show or listening to this show, you are the kind of person who offers that kind of help to people you know and love when they need it. So, it's only fair to allow them to give that to you. The next thing would be just getting your rest. I think in today's age, we are just on this fast forward. I'm not anymore, but I used to be. And I'll just tell you, I'll make a confession here, like prior to leaving my job in mental health, my career, I had such a busy social life that pretty much 6 nights of the week, I had plans. I had dance rehearsal, I had play rehearsal, musical rehearsal, I had this group, that group, and I was constantly going somewhere. And on weekends, I would go camping with a group, and so I was very rarely home. That's not good either. I mean, yeah, I had a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun for a very long time, but I was always on the verge of exhaustion. I got sick frequently because I'd push myself too hard. I would hurt myself sometimes because I was so tired and still trying to push to do some physical things. So I think just making sure that you're getting enough rest, particularly now. The energy around our planet is very dense, very chaotic, and it's affecting every one of us whether we know it or not. It affects you in different ways depending on what your frequency is right now. If you have a higher frequency, you've been working on yourself spiritually, personally for a while, then you are feeling it as probably unexplained anxiety, depression, maybe even fear. And nothing's happening specifically in your life, but what's happening is you're picking up that frequency of the planet. So allow yourself some extra rest. If you are not normally a napper and lately you're needing a little nap, so what? I'm doing it, and it's helping me immensely as an empath to be able to deal with the frequency in the planet right now. It's very hard. I've mentioned this in my book, but there was a time in April, very early in the pandemic, when I was sitting on the edge of my bed at night doing my prayers and protection before I go to sleep. And suddenly I felt this tsunami of emotion hit me in the solar plexus, which is the upper stomach. And I literally fell off the bed onto my knees on the floor, and I just collapsed. And I was shaking and what is this? What's going on? I'd never felt anything like that. And then it happened again a few weeks later during the day. And my angels are like, Ivory, this is what's going on. This is all the people's fear, their stress, their anxiety, their worry, and their anger. And when you're an empath and you can feel these things from other people, let me tell you right now, it really is a battle to keep your equilibrium, to make sure that everything you're feeling, the emotions you're feeling, are just your own. I'm going to repeat a little trick I have if you're having issues with that, and that is to just say, any emotions that are not mine need to leave my energy field right now. It is amazing. I tried that. A friend told me. I tried that and I was like, whoa. I instantly felt that all of that really strong negative emotion leave, because even during these crazy times, I tend to be an upbeat person, happy, looking at the positive side. Call me a Pollyanna if you want. But the point being that I've needed naps during this time, and I just take it and I enjoy it and I feel better afterward. If you need to go to bed earlier, sleep a little longer when you can, do it. Because if you feel like you need that, or your angels are saying, you might hear it in your head, remember, take a nap, go to sleep, do it. They know what's going on with you, and you might have so many distractions going on in your life that you're not even getting a clear picture of how you're being affected. So that's the times when I appreciate them so much, just kind of popping in with information like that, or advice. And it's not advice, it's guidance. Guidance can come in many different forms. So another way that they do this is through diet. And I really think this is a big one. I'm going to take a little bit of time with this, because when you are on a spiritual journey, there are stages of cleansing, spiritual cleansing. And in my opinion, there's 3 different distinct ones, and one of them is about your diet. So as your frequency rises, your dietary needs change, and you could hear a message in your head just letting you know, realize like you don't like sugar anymore, or you don't want salt anymore, or you want to cut out red meat. You're done with alcohol, you're done with smoking. Whatever you ingest into your body is considered part of the diet section of this. And when I say diet, I don't mean going on a diet. A diet is just what you eat. What is your diet? My diet is, I like to eat clean food. I like to eat organic. I like to eat whole foods, not from whole food, but literally whole foods as they come out of the ground as much as possible. And I don't eat very much meat. I don't eat sugar. That's my diet. That's how I eat. So it's not something I'm doing to lose weight, something I'm doing to make a change with my body, with anything. It's just, that's how I eat. Did I start out here? No, my goodness. I used to love Pepsi. Now it tastes like a mouthful of chemicals to me. I came to a point where I'm like, that's not good for me anymore. Then I came to a point where, I found out I was diabetic and had been for a very long time and had no idea. So sugar's out and carbs are low, but a lot of it has been my angels just bringing things to my awareness where I was still eating or drinking something, and they would tell me, you're not even enjoying that. And there's even been some things in the last year that suddenly I don't enjoy anymore that I used to like very much. So you have to pay attention to that. Like when your tastes change, just understand that part of that is due to your frequency, the vibration of your body. You need to feed yourself what your frequency requires. So the truth is, and the angels are all over this, as you rise in frequency, you need purified water. It's a good idea to not drink alcohol, a good idea not to put chemicals in your body. I think it helps a lot to eliminate sugar, reduce salt, try not to eat chemically processed foods like snack foods and frozen foods, things like that are not as nutrient rich. So as you find yourself guided, I would not push yourself to try to accomplish some particular dietary regime right off the bat, but just be aware that it happens over a period of time. For me, I've been doing this for 40 years, like on this journey for 40 years. So over the period of 41 years, I have been guided to where I am now. I know it will go further. I know that things will go to another level as my frequency continues to rise. And you can just be aware of how things are tasting, how you feel after you eat or drink it, messages you're hearing in your head from your angels. Sometimes they'll even say things like, put that fork down. And it's because what you're eating is just not good for you. They don't want you to put things in your body, and I don't think you would either, that are going to lower your frequency, possibly make you sick because of your frequency having risen, or even slow down your gifts, dampen your gifts, and slow down the progress of your spiritual awakening or your journey. And all of that can happen if you continue eating what you've always eaten, drink what you always drank. Sure, there's times when you're going to try to go back to something that you know isn't good for you anymore, but you'll be reminded very quickly, because as your frequency rises higher, the effect on you becomes stronger, more negative. So listen for those messages in your head and abide by them, because the angels know when something is really not helping you at all. It could be literally hurting you. Another one is exercise. Boy, this one, I got to tell you a story. You know, I love my stories. So about, 7 years ago, a little over 7 years ago, we had just opened Sedona Soul Sisters, and I woke up in the morning and I tried to get out of bed and I could not move my legs, and I kind of had to go down the floor and crawl. I could not stand or sit or walk. And for the next 2.5 years, I was in extreme agony all the time. Nothing would help it. I had not had an injury. Nothing had happened. Nothing fell on me or any weird, twisting move or anything. I just woke up with that. So during that time, I had been exercising daily prior to that, and I had to stop because couldn't even sit, stand, walk comfortably. I don't even know how I was working. So I stopped working out. For 2.5 years, my back and my whole core got so weak that my back was just hurting all worse and worse and worse. And my angels finally came to me. This was about a year ago, February a year ago, and they said, Ivory, if you do not work out, if you don't push yourself to work out, your back's only going to get worse. And I'd been reading about that, and heard about it from a physical therapist, the importance of working out your core so that you can strengthen your back. And I had resisted it because it hurt so much just laying down. I couldn't even imagine. So I made myself, because my angels said that, it really was a wake-up call, and it was at the right time, and I just made myself start going for a 10-minute walk on a trail. And every day I would increase it by a minute. And after 2 weeks, I had less pain. Those first 2 weeks were not fun. I did get chased by some scary bulls, so I had to find a different place to walk. And I couldn't run because I was in too much pain. And it was probably just as well, because I found out later from a ranger, if I'd run, they probably would have gored me or tried to. So I ended up walking till I got to 44 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And when the weather got really hot, I switched to a gym, and I was working out there about an hour and 20 minutes, 5 days a week. And my back pain was gone unless I lifted something too heavy. So I have to say, again, thank you, angels, for that, because I probably would have really resisted that continuing and just been in more and more and more pain. So I've been able to get back to a lot more of my normal life and have minimal to no pain, just doing what my angels told me to do. And you know how I've mentioned before, if you've watched the show, that angelic messages tend to come in 3 or more. So they had put that in front of me recently. I had had a physical therapist say, if you work out, you'll build up your core, da da da. And then I sent this. I received an email, and it was about working out your core to reduce back pain. And less than a week later is when my angels gave me that message. So there was my 3, and I wasn't going to wait around for more. I just took action, and it made all the difference. So I know that there's a lot of you out there. Just my goodness, just amongst my friends and family, so many people have physical issues going on: knee replacements, hip replacements, bronchial issues, COVID, everything under the sun going on. And if you can just tune in to whatever's going on with you and ask your angels what they think you should do. Lots of times when I'm doing readings for people, like psychic readings, many people ask me health questions and physical questions, and I'm not a medical intuitive, but the angels will come in sometimes and tell me what to tell them. And I don't give medical advice, but I'll tell them what the angels say, what they are, the words they say, what they're showing me, or what I'm feeling in my body. And, that's just another way that the angels are helping through me people get a grip or find out what's going on with their health, or whether there's going to be a relapse of something they need to prepare for, whatever it may be. I can get that information because I have that relationship with angels, a natural gift I was born with. But anybody, can develop that ability to get those kind of messages for yourself, and maybe even for your own loved ones, but definitely for yourself. I mean, your angels are focused on you. Your brother's angels are focused on them. So it's a little different story. But just getting that close relationship and clearly hearing your angels speak to you, or noticing when they're directing your attention to something, is invaluable. Most people think of it about their spiritual journey, but it really is just about your day-to-day life as well, probably more than anything. Trying not to sneeze. Another thing is awareness and insight. So I do think, again, it comes back to that. There's so many distractions: television, music, social media, social life, work life, children, everything, caretaking, family. It distracts us to a very high degree, and sometimes we just need our angels to intervene and give us awareness about a situation, tell us something that's going on, point out something to us. I did mention that, like, if you don't work out, your back's only going to get worse, and I think that's a good example of that. But there's been plenty of others, and sometimes my angels will tell me things like, and this is about my mental health, they will flat out tell me that person does not have your best interest at heart. And I come a long way from where I was with my innocence and my over-trust issue, trusting everybody on everything. I don't do that anymore, but I still don't expect people to be working actively against me, especially people that are in my little world. And so when my angels point that out, it's not often. And they'll point that out, and it's always like, it makes me like catch my breath with shock, because then I'll look at this, I'll just stop and look, and then I can see it so clearly. And I'm like, my gosh, Ivory, how could you not see that? And it's because I don't want to see that about that person. I want that person to be my friend. I want to think that they have my best interest like I do for them. It's just not always true. And a friend this week, a close friend, was realizing that about somebody very close to her, and it's so sad. I could feel her heart hurting and just feel the pain she's experiencing, realizing this, having heard that from her angels. And it's hard, but they tell you that not to hurt you. They tell you that because being around that person is damaging your energetic field. Just to put up a little bit of an emotional distance, or maybe avoid them altogether, and particularly don't listen to their advice, that it's so invaluable to have that pointed out to you. And your angels would never say that unless you really needed to know. I'm sure there's other people out there who don't have my best interest at heart. Just helping people and being a good person makes the dark people hate you. So, you're going to have people working against you. That's just, the way life goes. But I'm talking about people you think are the people that are your family, people are your friends, coworkers. When you hear this kind of message, it may not be those words exactly, but something like that, believe it. They're telling you because this person's doing something to actively work against you in some way, at least protect your energetic field from them, because their energy, not having your best energy at heart, your best interest at heart, is like sending energetic daggers to your energy field and puncturing it and making it not as effective for you, making you not feel so great. So pay attention to that. And I know sometimes it has been for me very bitter pill to swallow, but once they told me, once they pointed that out, I really could see, like looking back on things, then it made sense, like why they said and did the things they did. And I always want to try to give people the benefit of the doubt and say, like, what's the kindest positive reason they may have done or said that. But sometimes that's not the truth, and sometimes the reality is they didn't mean exactly what they said, and it was mean-spirited, and it was intended to be. And I think we have to not let ourselves get so up into the clouds. Like, that's when people get airy-fairy, when they're not connecting to paying attention to things on a human level. So we want to avoid that. I mean, your mental health, your emotional health is every bit as important as your physical health. And that kind of comes back to sometimes, oh my gosh, thinking back to the early 90s, I had worked in radio for quite some time, and it was I loved the work, but it was a very toxic environment, kind of craziness with the owners. And my angels had told me, they kept turning on people, and I was the golden child, and my angels are like, your time will come. And I knew they were right. Like, I just knew that kind of situation, it will, and it did. And when it did, my angels said, it's time to leave. But I loved my work so much, and my daughter didn't want me to leave radio because it was fun for her too. And so I stayed another 2 years, and it just was bad. It went downhill, like a lot of emotional abuse and some verbal abuse against me for no reason, just because it was my turn, I guess. And I finally finished my schooling. I had gone back to school to major in psychology because I was going to go into that field. And I left to go do that, and it was a relief. It was a big relief. And there's been times too, like even in relationships, the last one that I was in with an extremely toxic person, my angels were telling me to leave. They were telling me you have to leave to save yourself, and they meant to save my life. And they were right. I came very close to dying in that relationship, and I stayed because I kept thinking it'll get better. I did not sacrifice everything I've sacrificed for nothing. It's going to get better. He has this little bit of goodness in him. All these little lies I told myself to stay, even though my angels were telling me, Ivory, you have to leave. And finally, I can only say they like surrounded me and imbued me with such strength and courage that he was gone doing something. I boxed up everything he owned, put it in a storage unit, sent him the key, and I left. I moved because I needed to get away from that craziness. I needed to get away from that darkness. And it felt so good to just move forward, take decisive action, but I'm not sure I could have gotten there that fast if my angels hadn't come to me as a group again and just literally infused me with courage and belief in myself that I was going to be more than fine if I could just get away from this person. And they were right. So, I mean, it wasn't any easy healing by any means. My business partner, Roz, and I laughed because when she met me, I was a wreck. I was just so beaten down, such a wreck. But I had great friends around me quickly, and then our business to put together, and just, a lot of positive things happening in my life that allowed me to focus on healing and strength and getting over any kind of damage that I'd had in my life. And it's been really positive experience. But my angels gave me the messages and the strength to do that. And they'll do it for you too. So you don't have to be in that same circumstance. Whatever the circumstance is that's not good for you, that's what they'll help you with. And probably the last thing about this is your angels want you to love yourself. It is not egotistical to love yourself. And I don't mean getting into ego like, I'm so great, I'm the best, nobody's better than me. That's ego. But loving yourself is where you love yourself as much as you do your loved ones. You take good care of yourself. You appreciate your body. You appreciate your gifts. You appreciate your intellect, your talents, your skills. And you take care of yourself because of that. You want to do good things for yourself because you love who you are. And so if you're not there yet, I think that's a great place to begin, is to begin loving yourself. One thing I like, there's an exercise that's a good place to start with that, where you take lotion, and this is more for the ladies, but maybe for the men too, a lotion that has a scent you really like. And you're going to put that lotion on your shoulders. You're going to say, I love my shoulders. You're going to put it on your arms. I love my arms. And you're going to work your way down your body, putting that lotion lovingly into your body. I love my stomach. I love my hips. I love my legs. I love my knees. All over your body. And do that daily, because what you say to yourself in a loving way, your self believes. So it's very important, the words that you think and the words that you say. And when you are coming to a place of loving yourself, you need to give yourself a lot of praise. If you do something good, say, you did a great job with that. I'm so proud of you. Like you would to a child or a beloved sibling or anybody, a best friend. Talk to yourself and think about yourself the way you would the people you love the most. And that is really honoring your health at the same time, loving yourself, honoring your health. I've had a lot of health issues my whole life, just since I was 5, really serious health issues. And so a lot, some people's lives are like that, but I have to really honor what I can do and what I cannot do. And I'm never going to be a marathon runner. It's not happening with my lungs. It's out of the picture. But there's a lot of things I can do. And so focus on the things that you can do, and maybe working towards expanding a little bit of what you can do, finding new things you can do. And I think that part of the getting to the point of that, loving yourself and honoring your health, is gratitude. You can say, we've talked about giving gratitude for all the blessings in your life. What about the blessings of your family? What about the blessings of, I'm so grateful that I'm still able to go hiking. I'm so grateful that my back barely hurts anymore. I'm so grateful that I have decent eyesight, that my hearing is good. I'm so grateful for that I can still sing. Whatever it is about your body and your health, speak your gratitude out loud at least once a day. I think that it's very important, because again, what you think and what you say, your body and your mind believes it. You create your reality through that. So if you're telling yourself, I hear old people my age, I'm older than I look, so just know that. People my age will say things like, I'm just falling apart. I can barely do this anymore. Or, I'm just not attractive. No one's attracted to me, and things like that. And I will lovingly, if I know them well enough, say, I'm going to tell you that I don't see that that's the reality for you. And if that's what you want to be reality, then you can keep saying it. But if you'd like something different, you might want to consider saying, I'm attractive. People are attracted to me. I have good vitality. I feel more energy every day. And they'll look at me like I'm nuts, and then most of them will go try it, and they'll tell me later that it's really helping. You believe what you tell yourself. We're not going to talk ourselves out of paralysis. That's not going to happen. We're not going to talk ourselves out of, for me, I'm 6 feet tall. I'm not going to be able to tell myself I'm 5'6" and suddenly I'm 5'6". Not that I particularly want to be 5'6". But I'm just saying some things seem to be insurmountable unless there's some sort of true miracle intervention. But just love yourself. Appreciate the good things. Focus on your good qualities. And if you feel like it's hard for you to love yourself, then that tells me that you probably have some character flaws like everybody does. Identify one of them and work on it. Catch yourself when you exhibit it and turn it around and try to stop yourself from saying something that isn't really good for you or anybody else, and change your habits in that way. And once you've got that one under control, find the next character flaw and work on that one. I would not advise trying to work on every character flaw you have all at once. You would go crazy. It's like you can only change your habits so much at a time. So in those ways, you're going to improve yourself in your eyes, which is what matters the most. Many times the people who have known you the longest do not know you or really understand who you are now. They may see you as you were as a child, as a teenager, and really not be able to know who you are now. They're just not capable of seeing it or realizing it. So going through your own lens is really important, or at least having one close friend, a person who you can say, what would you say is my most serious character flaw? And you know that they'll be honest and loving with you and how they tell you. And then later, do you think that I have made improvement in that area? Do you feel you've made improvement in that area? Because it's coming to a point where your opinion and your insights are the most important. So I hope that this has been helpful for you today. You may not have realized that your angels would intervene and talk to you or give you guidance about your health, your self-care all across the board, but they are really all about that, because if we're not healthy, we're not well, we are not functioning at our best. We're not moving forward. So I think you're going to find some of this information to be very helpful for you. Tune in next week. Let me look real quick here. Oh yes, the topic is angels and the environment. I'm going to talk to you about what my angels showed me in 1984 and what they told me about, and how it set me off on becoming very much an environmentalist, and everything that I do that you could do as an individual to help the environment. All of this has been suggested by my angels, and I just implemented it over the period of time since 84. And I'm happy to share all of that with you and let you know what the angels showed me and said about it. And in the meantime, may your angels surround you. May your angels protect you every moment of your life. I'll see you next week.